Type the ones in the chat because we are 1 day away from the NBA Finals getting underway between the Dallas Mavericks and the Boston Celtics. Welcome into Mavericks Today. It's Harrison Graham and Jeffrey Cooperstein. We got some news, rumors, and notes before the day comes. Coop.
Before we get started, I want to ask you this. Does it feel real to you?
You know, it did when they beat the Timberwolves. But like this lengthy break, it's kind of like made you forget that they're actually here. I think when I wake up tomorrow, I'll be like, holy shit, we're playing tonight. Like, let's go.
That's where I'm at too.
Let's kick things off here. The media day took place today. Nothing super notable, but there's been some kind of some nuggets, some leaks come out the last couple of days. And our old pal Chandler Parsons, who's doing like a FanDuel NBA show with Michelle Beadle, and I don't know who else is on that show, if I'm being honest. He kind of went on a little spiel about a Luka and Porzingis beef that certainly existed at times while KP was here. There's no doubt about it. Let's just get to what Chandler said first. Set the table here. He said, they do not like Porzingis in Dallas. Luka did not like playing with him. There is an actual beef there. Before we get to Luka's response, Coop, what was your initial reaction to this from Chandler Parsons?
My initial reaction was actually very similar to what Luka's initial reaction was. First of all, before we get to that, we know this wasn't true, like from the get-go. Mm-hmm. Did they have beef at one point? Yeah, for multiple reasons. But by the end of the KP's tenure here in Dallas, it was over with. He was fine with Luka, and this narrative that they don't like each other, it was kind of dispelled, especially after the trade. I don't know if you remember this. They played the Wizards about a month later, and Luka and KP were dapping up, and they were fine. So my initial reaction was, this just isn't true, and Luka kind of confirmed that. And when he said in the press conference after practice, he goes, I've talked to Chandler Parsons maybe twice in my life. I don't know how he would know that KP and I have a good relationship. I don't know why people say otherwise. That was kind of my reaction as well.
Yeah, my take on this is, look, I think things got rocky for a couple of reasons. One, Rick Carlisle was a hard ass, and he was very demanding, and I don't think KP, that was the type of coach that he responded well to. And I think even from Luka's standpoint, like, he can deal with hard coaching, obviously, but, like, he just kind of got over Carlisle's shit of being like. I think Luka was kind of like, dude, I'm easily the best player, basically every single night. Like, just let me play.
Let me cook.
And so I think that was part of it. And two, I think Porzingis' injuries piling up, I think probably wore on Luka a little bit. Like, 100%. I can't rely on this guy. Like, ask Luka how he felt about playing with Porzingis in the bubble before Porzingis got hurt. That was looking like the next great duo in the NBA, and that was kind of just the next injury that just, it never was quite the same after that. So
I think the frustrations really boiled over in the 2021 season where they really weren't getting along at all. And then at the beginning of the 21-22 season, the one that the Mavs ended up making the conference finals in, they kind of bonded both over their dislike for Rick Carlisle, and they were just so happy that Carlisle was gone and Jason Kidd was in there that they kind of, reconciled, and they were good with each other after that.
Yeah, so like my overall take on this is like, yes, at one point there was definitely friction. I think that season you pointed out, it definitely wasn't great. And then that kind of transpired in the playoffs too, where Carlisle just stuck Porzingis in the corner and basically made him a non-factor. And then two, my kind of just overall reaction is just like, are they best pals? Are they going to vacation together? No, but like, if they ran into each other at a bar in Europe, I don't think they would duck each other either. Like, it's So I think it's one of those situations.
I think Parsons was trying to, drum up some storylines for the finals. I just don't think this is the storyline for the finals.
Look, I'm sure Chandler was told by someone at some point when Porzingis was in Dallas, like, things aren't going that well with Luka and KP, and he decided to pull that out 3 years later because they're playing the finals. It's kind of just an easy, lazy thing to throw out there.
Chandler?
It's really not the case.
I'm one of Chandler Parsons' maybe last defenders here on planet Earth. You got to stop, man. You're not a media guy. Just take your $150 million and go be happy.
Yeah, for real. Subscribe to the channel. We'll be live for every single second of the NBA Finals, starting with tomorrow night for Game 1. We're also going to have a day of preview episode tomorrow morning go out on the channel, so be on the lookout for that. But Coop and I got you covered. It's going to be a lot of fun. Hit that subscribe button, turn on notifications. It's youtube.com/MavsTV. All right, LeBron James recently showing love to his former partner in crime, Kyrie Irving. And I got to be honest, Coop, I sensed a little bit of jealousy from LeBron of like, God, I wish I was still playing with this guy. Like, I think he looks at Luka like taking the next step and having Kyrie help him do that. And he's like, I really wish Kyrie would have gotten to L.A.
Well,
after that instead of Dallas in that trade deadline a couple years ago.
I think there was jealousy. Sorry to cut you off. I think there was jealousy, but I think the jealousy is Kyrie is playing in the NBA Finals and I'm not. I think that's where the jealousy comes in with LeBron. We obviously know LeBron's made 10 finals in his career, which is a remarkable feat that I'm not sure will ever be replicated again. And he definitely does miss Kyrie, and he was given praise on him, and we'll talk about what the potential ramifications of that may be in just a second, but here's what LeBron said.
Yeah, he said, I would call Kyrie the wizard of all time, like all the time, or a wizard all the time, excuse me. There was nothing on a basketball floor that Kyrie couldn't do. I'm so proud to watch him continue his growth, whatever the case may be, and so effing mad at the same time that I'm not his running mate anymore. So many words to praise Kyrie that I end up with absolutely none, because it's just he's the most gifted player the NBA has ever seen. He has the best gifts I've ever seen of any NBA player. I've never seen a guy in my NBA life that feels better at times shooting with his offhand than he does with his primary. And look, I think Kyrie, we've talked about this a lot. Like, it's gone better than expected. He's in the right headspace now. He's saying the right things. He's become a leader, all that stuff. And that was hard to predict at the time of the trade. Let's just be honest. Absolutely. It had been about 4 or 5 years of tumultuous Kyrie Irving. Let's just be honest. But I will say this, what's been consistent throughout his career, I think NBA players, current, former, would all tell you that like they were way higher on Kyrie's abilities on the floor than anyone on the outside. And I think even though,
I agree with that.
I think people on the outside, even like people that didn't like love Kyrie because he was unreliable, kind of a head case at times, would still recognize how good of a player he was. But I think like the hoopers inside the league, like there's a reason, and it obviously was a bad move by Kevin Durant, but there's a reason this guy wanted to pair up with him in Brooklyn. Like, I think the feeling inside the league around Kyrie was like, this is one of the most talented players to ever play. And for LeBron to basically say that, I think speaks volumes. And look, I mean, LeBron could be a free agent. He could opt out of his deal. And we've talked about this before. Like, we're focused on the finals right now, but like, I would not rule this out. Like, if LeBron enters free agency, I do think the Mavericks will be on the short list. Now, you could make an argument whether or not that's the right decision for Dallas, and we'll definitely dive deeper into that in the offseason, Coop. But, like, I do think it's a greater than 0% chance.
I'm so glad that we have a finals to talk about right now, so we don't have to talk about the potential of getting LeBron for, like, the third or fourth straight offseason. But I'll say this. If he does become a free agent, I think this year – maybe the best chance they've ever had to get him. And that includes 2014 when LeBron put the Mavs on his short list. I really do. All the pieces are kind of in place.
He loves Kyrie. He loves Luka. He loves Jason Kidd.
Has a relationship with Nico Harrison as well.
Dallas is a place, too, Coop, where, like, he can get to either coast in 3 hours. Like, nothing has to change about his Hollywood life. Like, it would not shock me.
It wouldn't shock me either. But keyword is later, because the Mavs are playing in the NBA Finals. Shout out to Kyrie for helping the Mavs get there as well. And shout out to LeBron for the nice words on Kyrie.
More to discuss in a moment, but we do have to shout out our sponsor, PrizePicks. Go to prizepicks.com/CLNS. Use code CLNS when you create an account to get a first-time deposit match up to $100. It is daily fantasy made easy. And I got to tell you, you can make some money pretty easily in Game 1.
Oh, yeah.
You can choose more than half a point for Jason Tatum because PrizePicks is promoting that. And Derek Lively half an assist, you take the more on that as a goblin pick, 25 to win 53 or so. So that's a freebie. We also have this 3-player entry as well, the same Tatum play. More on Luka, 31.5. More on Derek Lively, 16.5 points, rebounds, and assists. But that Lively nugget, he has not had a 0-assist game since the first round of the playoffs.
When you came across that pick yesterday, I was absolutely shocked. I was like, are they giving away money? Is this real? Is this something you can actually place? I didn't believe it.
Lively's got to get an assist. Like, it has to happen. But, Jason Tatum's, that's a freebie. Like, I feel good about that one. You guys should too. prizepicks.com/CLNS. Use the code CLNS to get a deposit match if you're a first-time customer with PrizePicks. PrizePicks.com/CLNS. All right, let's see. Let's get to some Media Day nuggets and notes. By the way, do you want to get into this Kyrie returning to Boston thing real quick?
We have that on the list.
Okay, we've got that coming up here. Okay, we'll start with Luka here. This was pretty interesting, and it's not surprising. Jared Greenberg, Coop of NBA TV, said that Luka probably would have taken a 2-week break.
Yep.
Once he suffered that knee sprain.
He said he would have been shut down for 2 weeks if this was the regular season. And we know Luka's been battling. Look, he has the ankle issue as well. He had the play where he hit his head on the floor, and that probably kind of, I'm not saying he had a concussion, but it definitely didn't help anything.
Yeah.
So he's been battling through a lot of things, and Luka even said yesterday before they left for Boston that he was asked if his knee was better, and he said, no, it hasn't gotten any better, but the rest has definitely helped. So I think you made a good point earlier as we were talking. He's kind of learned to deal with it better, so I think he can manage the pain a little bit better, but he is certainly battling through serious ailments right now.
Yeah, I mean, he suffered a knee sprain. Look, I would not be surprised if July 6th we get a push notification from Woj. Luka's having a minor knee cleanup surgery. He's clearly hampered. Now, I think it's, it might not literally have improved, but he's moved as the playoffs have gone on. He has moved a lot better. Now, he's clearly learning how to play with it. I think the Mavs training staff, I would assume, has found some things to kind of manage the pain better over the course of over a month now. But yeah, I mean, if this was in January, I think he would have been shut down.
I think where I noticed him really starting to move well was, I want to say it was Game 5 of the OKC series. Game 4, he had a horrible game, and then after that, when they went up to OKC in Game 5, I think that's kind of where he started to be like, you know what, I'm not going to let the pain affect me, and I'm just going to go out there and play my game. And ever since then, I mean, I wouldn't say he's looked 100%, but I would say he's looked 85 to 90%.
Yeah, I think that's probably the proper range, and I think the stat that stands out to me from that Minnesota series is he shot 43% from three-point range. He was getting more arc on his shot. Like, a lot of those threes in the first couple of rounds were flat and short. Like, he seems to be getting more lift. So, look, no one's 100% this time of year. There's no excuses. Like, I'm not going to come out of this series unless there's further injury if they lose and be like, well, if Luka was healthy, like, nah, man. Like,
agreed.
He's found a way to play through it. He's played at a high level. Like, the expectation is to go out and get it done. Okay, here's Kyrie. Obviously, a big storyline is him returning to Boston, where those two parties don't have a great relationship. He said, I've experienced Boston in twofold. You just got to breathe through it and realize this is not as hostile as you think it is. Being able to work through that, and it can all be turned into a strength. There's no fear out here. It's just basketball. It's a fleeting feeling. When I look back at those memories, never regretful, but a little disappointed in how I approached that success. When you ascend to this level and put in a lot of hard work, I look at it as an opportunity. Don't want to take that for granted. Obviously, he admitted to when he was with Brooklyn and played back in Boston, flipped off the crowd. He said that's not a great representation of who he is. Now, he might feel that way, but I think he knows, like, you probably shouldn't throw the birds at the crowd either. I think a lot of people feel a lot of different ways around certain fan bases and stuff like that, but there's a proper way to handle things, and I think
wasn't it.
I think he knows that was not the best, but look, I am fascinated to see how this is, especially the first two games, and especially on Thursday night, because I expect it to be thunderous.
Oh, it is going to be a fantastic crowd. I fully expect Kyrie to get booed every single time he touches the ball. It's going to be hostile, man, and we'll get into our keys to victory here in our Game 1 preview that's coming out tomorrow, but Man, if they can weather the first 5 minutes of that storm, I think that would be absolutely huge. And just kind of settle into the environment. You know it's going to be hostile. Just get used to it quickly and deal with it.
Do you give Kyrie a couple touches early, or do you go elsewhere?
Oh, if I'm Jason Kidd, and this is why I'm not Jason Kidd, Kyrie would take the first 3 shots of the game. Absolutely.
Just see if he could settle in.
And imagine if he hits those shots, that crowd will go silent, and it would be poetry.
It'll be interesting to see how they approach that. All right, if you want or if you think the Mavs will win the finals, type Y for yes. If you don't think they will, type in for no.
I better see 0 ends in the comments.
Yeah, we're finally here, Coop. We've made it.
Let's go.
Game 1 tomorrow night. Again, we'll have a Game 1 preview episode on the channel that goes out tomorrow morning, so check that out. And we'll be back at it tomorrow. See you then.
See you soon.